Hello everybody, my name's Levi Clay and I would like to welcome you back to my series, Guitar Books That You Must Own. In this series we're going to be looking at books that you must own. Now books are a great source of education and can often be purchased for less than the price of a guitar lesson. Sometimes you'll get years and years and years of work out of a single book that you've spent £10–15 on, or the dollar equivalent. So I would recommend that every serious student of music maintains and constantly adds to a large library of learning resources. And here is one more of those learning resources that I've enjoyed over the years. Today we have Frank Gambale's The Frank Gambali Technique Book 1. There are 2 books in this series, other ones in the library. We can start by talking about Volume 1. Now, it's worth addressing this idea that I believe this book has been poorly named, shall we say, the Frank Gambali Technique Book 1. Frank is obviously incredibly well known and respected for his technique, his ability when it comes to things like economy picking. When it comes to technique, that's not what you're actually covering in this book. Calling it the Frank Gambali Theoretical Concepts Book, or the Frank Gambali Method, the Frank Gambali Theory Method, or something like that, would probably give you a better indication of what's contained within this book. You see, inside this book, and it is one that contains tab, by the way, so if you aren't a reader, this is a good example, a good thing for you to look at. What this book actually contains is theoretical concepts and how to apply those. So what do I mean by that? Well, Frank will take a simple concept like the Dorian mode, and I like to think of them as sections of the book. Each section is about a different sound. So we take Dorian tonality, and what you seek to learn by the end of the chapter is concepts that you can use in order to apply those sounds without just playing the scale. So we're talking arpeggio substitution, triads that you can superimpose, pentatonic substitutions, etc. And it's the method that gets you towards that process. Some of you out there might have already seen Frank Gambali's Modes No More Mystery DVD that was released many years ago. Good DVD, and it taught a lot of players the idea that taking the the 4 and 5, the parallel major chords from a given mode and playing them against the root of the mode, blah blah blah, gives you the modal sound. And we have more of that here essentially. Great little ways to help you find interesting substitution ideas out of a given mode or a given sound, a given harmonic context. So you might take something like the Dorian scale, and Frank would play, or encourage you to play, the major triads from the parent key against that, and to study how they sound. Find some triad pairs. So obviously over a D Dorian context in the key of C, you could take an F major triad and a G major triad and use those pairs of triads to create vocabulary, and it's going to give you a Dorian tonality when played in a Dorian context. Taking things like 7th chords, you might want to take a minor chord, a minor 7 chord off the 5th. So if we're playing in D, if you jump up to the 5th, you'd be playing A. If you play A minor 7 against a D Dorian in a D Dorian context, it's going to give you a nice substitution, a nice substituted sound, where you're essentially getting the 5th, the flat 7, the 9, the 4, and the 5 against your original chord. Lots to, if you're not following what I'm doing there, this is probably the book for you. This book, as I say, is part 1 in a series, and it takes you from basic harmony, Dorian, like I'm talking about, all the way up to, what have we got at the end of the book? It goes as far as major sounds. And there is more to the book, of course, because I'm seeing here we've got melodic minor modes and things like that. But that's further on. This is really a book about training you how to think about substitutions. At least that's what I have taken from it. Book 2 moves on to more advanced harmony, altered chords, 13 flat 9 chords where you might use diminished sounds or altered scale vocabulary or Phrygian dominant vocabulary, because it's very easy to play inspired vocabulary over a minor chord and over a dominant chord, etc. But then you have a dominant 7 sharp 5 chord come up and suddenly you're playing these really stiff scalar based Superlocrian ideas. This book aims to kind of inspire you to find different ways to source melodic content out of that harmonic setting. So the Frank Gambale technique book doesn't contain as much technique as you might have thought, though it does have picking directions in there, so I guess there is a degree of that. Great book and well worth owning. I actually get the impression that this is material that was learnt by Frank while he was at GIT, so I'm guessing there's a fair amount of, you know, Howard Roberts and Don Mock information in here. Definitely not going to break the bank to add these ones to the collection. I would recommend picking them up as soon as possible and getting a decent selection of books at your disposal. What do you guys think though? Have you had a look at this book? Are you a fan of Frank's sound? Are you not a fan of Frank's sound? Let me know in the comments below, and of course hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends. It really helps out the channel and it allows me to get to know and meet new people, and actually one of the real benefits of doing this series is great guys that I respect the playing of and the teaching of, they come forward to me and they say, have you read this book, Levi? And I go, no, I've not heard of that book actually. Let me add it to my Amazon wish list, let me buy it. And that's how we learn, right? Sharing of information. So, the Frank Gambale technique book, a must own? I'll let you decide that one, but it's certainly one that I value quite highly. Thanks guys, until next time, I've been Levi Clay, I will always be Levi Clay, and I will always be here to entertain and antagonise and be a goofball. So I'll see you soon. Bye.